Hey there, and welcome to the Your Virtual CFO Coach podcast, your go-to resource for becoming the unstoppable CEO of your business while mastering the art of cash flow to create the life you've always envisioned. I'm Leah Torbert, your host and founder of Harrington Strategic Partners and the game-changing cash flow ignition method. On the Your Virtual CFO Coach podcast, I'm sharing the secrets on how to blend your ideal lifestyle with your business growth strategies so you can start living your dream life right now and breaking down essential growth tactics like financial analysis, cash flow management, mindset shifts, and more. I want you to leave this podcast confident that you can increase your cash flow and profitability and enjoy your life at the same time. So let's get started. Sometimes your growth plans exceed your growth funds, and here's what you can do about it. When you're in growth mode, your expenses are going to increase, sometimes faster than your revenue. You're probably looking at hiring more staff to keep up with demand, increasing production to fill more orders, or investing heavily in marketing to attract new clients. And these are all essential steps for growth, but they can easily drain your cash reserves if they're not carefully managed. Now, let me explain why this becomes a real issue. The problem with scaling is that expenses tend to come due before revenues catch up. Think about it. You hire new staff, but it takes time for them to get fully productive. You increase your marketing budget, but the revenue from new clients might not show up for months. You invest in equipment or inventory, but the profits from those investments may not materialize right away. And here's the kicker. Even though your revenue might be increasing, it's often not fast enough to cover those rising expenses immediately. You might be getting more orders or signing new clients, but if payments are delayed or if you have long lead times, your cash inflows may lag behind your cash outflows. This creates a cash flow gap where you have more money going out than coming in, at least for a little while. And that's a dangerous spot for any business, especially when you're trying to grow. So let me give you an example. Say you're a service-based business and you just landed a few big contracts. It's exciting, right? But to fulfill these contracts, you need to hire new staff and buy additional supplies up front. Meanwhile, you might not get paid for 30, 60, or even 90 days, depending on your payment terms with your clients. And now you're in a situation where you've incurred all of those costs, paying salaries, buying materials, and covering your overhead without receiving a dime to cover it. And this is what we call the scaling dilemma. You need to grow to take advantage of opportunities, but the financial strain of that growth can actually hurt your cash flow and in some cases bring your business to a halt. Growth and cash flow management need to go hand in hand, or else what looks like an exciting opportunity can quickly turn into a cash crisis. Now let's make one thing clear. Scaling your business does not have to mean draining your cash flow. In fact, scaling can be a healthy process when done strategically. That's what today's episode is all about. By the end, you'll have a clear understanding of how to scale in a way that supports rather than undermines your cash flow. So before we get into the steps, think about your own business. Are you currently looking to expand? Do you have big growth plans but feel unsure about how to handle the financial side? Stick with me because the steps I'll be sharing with you will help you avoid the cash flow pitfalls and grow your business sustainably. So step one is to optimize operations for efficiency. Now, I know when most people think about scaling, the first things that come to mind are hiring more people, increasing production, or expanding marketing efforts. And while those are key pieces of the puzzle, what often gets overlooked is how efficiently your business operates. Scaling doesn't just mean adding more resources. It means making sure that your business is running efficiently so that when you do scale, you're not overextending yourself. In fact, operational efficiency is a critical factor in making sure that your cash flow stays healthy as your business grows. If your processes are inefficient, scaling will only make the problems worse and add unnecessary strain to your cash flow. I want to say that again. Scaling will magnify your inefficiencies. That means you'll spend more money on labor, more money on overhead, and more money on correcting errors or managing chaos. The more inefficient your systems are, the harder it will be to maintain healthy cash flow, and the more likely you'll experience bottlenecks that could halt your growth altogether. Think of it like this. Scaling without optimizing your operations is like driving a car with the parking brake on. You're putting all the effort into moving forward, but those inefficiencies are dragging you down, making it harder and more expensive to get where you want to go. Efficiency is about making sure that every part of your business is working smoothly and effectively so that when you do scale, you're not wasting resources or money. So where do you start? You start by looking at the processes and systems you currently have in place and identifying areas where you can streamline operations. And this is where process optimization and technology can be real game changers. So let's take a look at a few key areas where optimizing operations can make a huge difference. Number one is automation. Automation is one of the easiest ways to improve efficiency, reduce manual labor costs, and keep your business running smoothly. Tasks like invoicing, customer follow-ups, inventory management, or even aspects of your marketing can be automated. When these processes are automated, not only are you freeing up valuable time that you or your team could use on higher-end tasks, but you're also cutting down on errors and speeding up your workflows. Number two is reducing bottlenecks. Identify the bottlenecks in your current workflow that are slowing things down. These might be approval processes that take too long, repetitive manual tasks that consume too much time, or dependencies between teams that slow down delivery. Once you identify these bottlenecks, look for ways that you can streamline them, whether through automation, delegation, or simply cutting out unnecessary steps. And then number three is standardizing your processes. Having standardized processes in place for your key operations, like onboarding clients, processing orders, or managing your inventory, ensures that tasks are done efficiently and consistently. This not only improves the overall performance of your business, but also ensures that as you scale, new team members or increase workloads won't create chaos. So let's dive a little deeper into technology and automation. There are so many affordable and easy to implement tools out there that can help you optimize your business operations. Here are a few areas where technology can have a big impact. So number one is invoicing and payments. By automating invoicing and payment reminders, you can speed up your cash inflows and reduce the time spent chasing down payments. Tools like QuickBooks, FreshBooks, or Xero allow you to automatically send invoices, track payments, and send reminders for overdue invoices. This not only improves your cash flow, but also reduces the manual effort needed to keep your finances on track. Number two, customer relationship management, CRM. Managing your client relationships is key, especially as you scale. A CRM system like HubSpot, Salesforce, or Zoho can automate customer follow-ups, lead tracking, and even some aspects of your customer service. This way you stay on top of customer interactions without having to manually track everything and nothing slips through the cracks. Number three is inventory management. For businesses that deal with products, managing your inventory efficiently is critical to cash flow. Tools like Katana, Odoo, and Lightspeed can help you automate inventory tracking, reordering, and stock level alerts. This ensures that you're not overspending on stock or missing sales opportunities because of inventory issues. And number four is your team collaboration. As your team grows, communication and collaboration can get trickier. Tools like Slack, Asana, or Monday.com can help keep everyone on the same page, streamline project management, and make collaboration easier without bogging down productivity. You might be thinking, this all sounds great, but will it really make a difference to my cash flow? And the answer is absolutely. When your operations run more efficiently, you're reducing waste, whether that's wasted time, wasted resources, or flat out wasted money. The less waste you have, the more streamlined your costs are, which means more money stays in your business and can be reinvested into growth. By freeing up both time and resources, you're able to redirect your cash flow towards more strategic growth activities like marketing or product development without draining your reserves. And the beauty of automation and process optimization is that once these systems are in place, they continue to work for you, allowing you to scale smoothly. So I want you to take action. Here's what I recommend. Before you scale, take a step back and look at your current operations. Where can you streamline? What tasks can you automate? Where can you reduce bottlenecks and inefficiencies? You'll be surprised with how much more cash flow you can free up just by tightening your operations before you even start your growth phase. And remember, the smoother your operations are, the easier it will be to scale. And when you do scale with efficiency in mind, you'll avoid the cash flow pitfalls that come with rapid growth. Plus, the more efficient your processes, the less you'll have to spend on unnecessary labor, overhead, or fixing mistakes. Step 2 is gradual, phased growth. The second strategy for scaling without losing control of your cash flow, hands down, is to slow down. I know that when you see an opportunity to grow, it's tempting to want to go all in. You've got that big deal on the horizon, or maybe you've seen a surge in demand, and that instinct is to jump in and grow as fast as you can and take advantage of all of it. And it's really exciting, right? But here's the thing. Scaling too quickly without a plan can lead to a lot of serious problems, especially when it comes to your cash flow. So I want to break down what phased growth looks like. Instead of diving headfirst into expansion, you want to take it one step at a time. Phased growth means taking smaller, manageable steps that you can monitor and adjust. Here's how it works. Let's say you want to expand your team. Instead of hiring 5 or 10 new employees all at once, start by hiring just 1 or 2 key people. These should be individuals and roles that are going to have an immediate impact on revenue or operations, like a sales manager or a customer service lead. By doing this, you're adding capacity and increasing your ability to grow without putting too much strain on your cash flow all at once. After you've onboarded these employees and watched how it impacts your cash flow and overall operations, you can then make more informed decisions about whether you're ready for the next phase. If things are running smoothly and your cash flow is stable, then you can proceed to hire the next few people or make the next investment in your growth. So why is this approach so effective? Phased growth works because it reduces the financial risk of scaling. Instead of taking on a huge group of expenses all at once, you're gradually increasing costs in a way that's more manageable for your business. So this allows your revenue time to catch up with your expenses. It ensures that you're maintaining positive cash flow as you grow. It also gives you the chance to test new strategies and investments without betting everything on them. You might find that your business only needs a fraction of the investment you thought, or that one area of expansion is far more profitable than others. With phased growth, you have the flexibility to pivot, scale down, or accelerate based on real-time results. One of the best tools you can use to manage phased growth is real-time cash flow tracking. This is absolutely key. You need to have a system in place that shows you exactly where your cash is going, how much is coming in, and what your financial position looks like at any given moment. Now, I want to be clear about this. Cash flow tracking is not just making sure that your balance sheet and your P&L are up to date. It's not just your month-end close. Those are important processes in your business, but you need to know on a day-by-day basis where your money is coming from and where it's going. You can't wait to look at a historical view that's 30 days or 45 or 60 days old. It's already too late at that point. You need to know day to day. And by having visibility on this information, you can be proactive in making shifts on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, to keep things moving where you want them to go, instead of finding out 30 to 45 days in that there was a hitch somewhere that you missed. And so having this real-time cash flow tracking is really important. And that's where dashboards and cash flow software can come in. You get a real-time picture of your cash flow, and you have the visibility that allows you to spot those potential issues early so you can adjust your plans before you hit the wall. If you see that your cash flow reserves are dipping faster than expected after hiring a few new employees, you can pause before hiring more. Give your cash flow some time to stabilize. Or if you see that your revenue is growing faster than expected, you might decide to speed up your next phase of growth. Data-driven decisions are the name of the game here. Grow in manageable steps and constantly monitor the impact on your cash flow. Each phase of growth should be carefully assessed before moving forward. You want to make sure that you're not overwhelming your financial resources, but rather building them steadily as your business scales. This phased approach may not feel as exciting as the big, bold expansion all at once, but trust me, your business will thank you. By scaling slowly and steadily, you'll avoid the common pitfalls of fast growth and maintain the financial stability you need for long-term success. And remember, real-time cash flow tracking isn't just a nice to have, it's a must. So if you haven't already implemented this, I highly recommend that you look into it before making any big moves. Step 3 is cash flow forecasting. So we've already talked about increasing your operational efficiencies so that your business is running smoothly and it's ready for growth. And then we looked at real-time cash flow tracking, so you know what's happening right now, what's coming in, what's going out. So our next step, step 3, is to look at future cash flows. We need to know what is going to happen. What can we expect is going to happen based off of the things that we're changing in the business. A forecast gives you a clear picture of what your cash flow is going to look like as you scale, both in the short term and the long term. So with this information in hand, you'll be able to make smarter, more informed decisions about growth, and more importantly, you can avoid nasty surprises. So scaling your business is exciting, but it also brings uncertainty, especially in terms of finances. How much will you need to spend on new hires? What will your marketing costs be to attract more clients? Will your increased sales generate enough cash fast enough to cover those costs? All of these are critical questions, and the best way to answer them is through cash flow forecasting. Without a clear forecast, you're essentially operating in the dark. You may have an idea of where your business is headed, but without predicting the timing of your inflows and outflows, it's easy to find yourself in a situation where your expenses far outweigh your available cash. A forecast is a roadmap. It allows you to navigate growth with confidence, knowing exactly when and where cash flow might be tight and planning accordingly. So let's talk about how to create a cash flow forecast. The goal here is to estimate your future cash inflows and outflows based on your business's current performance and upcoming changes due to scaling. It's about being proactive, thinking ahead so you're not caught off guard. So the first thing you want to do is estimate future revenue. If you're scaling, this means you'll want to project how much additional revenue you expect to bring in from new customers, new contracts, or higher sales volumes. If you're launching a new product or entering a new market, make sure you account for any ramp-up period before revenue starts to flow in. And please be conservative in your estimates. Don't assume that new sales are going to materialize instantly. Number 2 is to estimate your future expenses. This is where things can get a little tricky, because costs can escalate quickly. You'll need to factor in all of the new costs you'll incur from scaling, such as additional salaries if you're hiring more staff, increased production costs if you're manufacturing more products, or expanded marketing budgets to attract new clients. And don't forget any new overhead costs like office space, software tools, or contractor fees. I also want you to think about how operations may slow down temporarily as people come on board and processes are adjusted to handle the new capacity. And once you've done those two things, the next step is to compare your inflows and outflows. Once you've got your revenue expense estimates, take a look at them. Are your expected revenues going to cover the new costs you're taking on? If you're projecting positive cash flow, that's awesome. You can move forward with confidence. But if you're seeing a cash flow gap where expenses exceed your inflows, this is a red flag that needs to be addressed. And that gets us to step number 4 in our process. So let's say that your forecast reveals that your expenses are going to outpace your cash flow inflows during the first few months of scaling. This is perfectly normal, especially when you're ramping up operations. The good news is you know it's coming, so you can plan for it. Now, I want to talk about some things that you can do to handle the potential cash flow gaps that you've identified. First thing you can do is to adjust your growth plans. If your forecast shows that you won't have enough cash to cover your expenses, you might want to scale back your growth plans or delay certain investments until you're more financially stable. This could mean hiring fewer people initially or spreading out your marketing spend over a longer period of time. Option 2 is to do more with what you already have by managing your payment terms better. So the basics of payment terms, these are the conditions that you set with your clients and your vendors about when payments are going to be made. So when you're scaling, the timing of those payments becomes incredibly important. If you've got more money going out than coming in at any given time, you're going to find yourself in a cash flow crunch, even if your business is profitable. So I want you to think about it like this. If you're waiting 60 days to get paid by your clients and you have to pay your suppliers in 30, there's a gap in your cash flow. This is especially true during periods of growth where you're taking on more expenses to scale. You're hiring, you're buying more inventory, you're spending more money on ads. But the revenue from all of that is not going to come in for weeks or months. So the goal here is to speed up your cash inflows so you're getting paid by your clients as quickly as possible, and then simultaneously slowing down your cash outflows. So you're holding onto your cash longer by extending payment terms with your vendors. So let's start with how to speed up your inflows. The faster you can get cash from your clients, the healthier cash flow is going to be, especially during this growth phase. So the first thing you can do is incentivize early payments. Something as simple as offering a 2% discount on invoices to get your customers to pay within 10 days instead of your 30-day payment window. This small discount may seem like you're cutting into your profits, but it's a great trade-off because you're improving your cash flow. If cash comes in faster, you're able to cover your operating costs without relying on credit or dipping into your savings. You can also think about shortening your payment terms. Now, this may be a tricky conversation to have. If your standard payment terms, say, are 60 days, and you want to think about maybe reducing them to 45 or even 30 if you could swing it. This could be a difficult conversation, but reach out to your customers, explain to them what's going on. If your business is growing and you need cash flow to keep up, these conversations are going to be critical in the process. Many businesses are willing to pay faster if they understand the value that they're going to get from it, and if you're able to communicate your needs effectively, especially when you're looking at higher concentration customers. When you have 2 or 3 customers that are a huge percentage of your business, any tweak in the right direction that you can get in payment terms is going to have a huge impact on your business. And if you can make them understand that, hey, you're a really important client of ours and we support you through a good bulk of our business and we have people dedicated to your account and we're making sure that we take care of you all the time and you have exactly what you need. There's a benefit to that. So if you can get them to work with you and they feel like they're, getting something great from it, you can improve your relationship and your cash flow at the same time. And then another thing, we've talked about this before, is to simply automate invoicing. If it takes you 10 days to get an invoice out the door, you've already lost 10 days worth of payment term. Because even if you backdate the invoice date, that doesn't mean that your client's going to process it on their end and put it through everything that they need to do to get it approved in that same time frame. If you can reduce your time to invoice from, let's say, 10 days to 24 hours, just think about that extra window that you've closed. You're not delaying the invoice. You're not delaying your client processing it, asking questions, maybe having an issue with delivery, all of those things that come up with paying an invoice. You can get it done faster and smoother and cut down that cash inflow time. And then step 2 is looking at delaying outflows to vendors. So you're negotiating better payment terms with your vendors so that you can hold on to your cash longer. So the first thing is looking at extending payment terms. So let's say you're on a 30-day payment term with your supplier. Ask for 45 or even 60. If you explain to them what you're trying to do, a lot of suppliers will work with you, especially if it means that they're going to get more business from you because you're scaling and will need more product from them. Having that conversation is worth a try. If you've got great payment terms with them already and they trust you as a client, then you can look at that and just say, hey, is it possible for us to do 45 or 60? What can you do? Every additional day that you have extended on your payment terms is going to help keep cash in your business longer and allow you to make better decisions in how you use your money. And then the other thing you can do from a payment term perspective for your vendors is to batch payments to manage your cash flow. This can be really important. Instead of every day another bill is due, batch things so you're managing your cash flow better. Instead of having all these little bits of money going out of your account all the time, you can look at it and go, okay, I need X amount on this day, whether it's the 7th and the 21st or the 15th and the 30th, however you manage that. And then make sure that you're communicating with your vendors on that side and just let them know. You might see a little variance, a day or two here or there, because we're implementing this batch payment process. We're still taking care of you. We still are processing everything on our end. We'll let you know if we have any comments or questions about bills that come in, just as we've always done. But we're just adjusting our payment process a little bit to help our cash flow. And having that conversation is going to have a great impact on your relationship and keep everybody informed as things are adjusting through your growth phase. And now it's time to talk about the last option in filling a cash flow gap. This is one that I don't encourage people to think of first. I really want my clients to take the time to look at what they can do internally before going external, before looking for option 3, which is to secure additional funding. But if scaling back isn't an option, say you've already accepted those large contracts, you already have delivery dates in place, you're out of wiggle room, right? And you've already tweaked your payment terms, you've already worked on getting your current customers to pay faster and paying your vendors a little slower, and you've still got a gap, then you can look at securing funding. This could be a line of credit or a business loan that gives you a little bit of cushion during these early stages of growth. And just make sure that any borrowed funds can be repaid without putting additional strain on your cash flow. This is a key piece that I see a lot of business owners not thinking about. You have your principal and interest payments that are going to be due every month. So that's additional cash outflow. I've seen too many businesses whose growth plans were completely halted because they borrowed too much too fast and they couldn't keep up with the payments. If funding is something that you want to consider, don't wait until you need the funds to actually prepare. Everything we've discussed today, optimizing your operations, having a phased plan for growth, forecasting your cash flow, and planning for handling your cash flow gaps, all of these things are things your potential lender is going to want to see. And don't forget about your financial statements. If your balance sheet and P&L aren't accurate, put the work in to get them there before you reach out to lenders. If you don't know where to start with that, reach out to me and let's talk. Financials prep is one of my favorite things to do. So, final thoughts today. Scaling your business is an incredibly exciting time in your business. It's a sign that your hard work is paying off and you're ready to take your business to that next level. But it's crucial that you approach scaling with cash flow in mind. Growth should never come at the expense of financial stability. By using these 4 steps, optimizing your operations for efficiency, growing gradually in phases, using cash flow forecasting, and actually planning on how you're going to fill the cash flow gaps that you identify, you're setting yourself up for sustainable long-term growth. These steps will ensure that as you expand, your business has the ability to stay financially healthy and continue to thrive. Before you dive into your next big growth move, I want you to take a moment to review your current cash flow situation. Look at where you can apply these strategies in your own business. Maybe it's time to start phasing your growth instead of making huge leaps. Maybe there are inefficiencies in your operations that need attention before you scale. Or perhaps you need to sit down and create a cash flow forecast to plan for the next 6 to 12 months. Whatever it is, taking these steps now will save you a lot of headaches later. And if you want someone to work with you through this process, I can help. Schedule a call today at harringtonstrategicpartners.com/contact, and let's get started. Thanks for listening to today's podcast. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please share with your network and leave a review so our podcast can have a greater impact. If you have any comments or additional topics you'd like discussed on the show, let me know. Before you go, connect with me on LinkedIn and let's keep the conversation going.